So ditching X and A just for a half second because I realized I forgot to talk about if statements, one of the fundamentals. But then I also there'll be plenty of times I have to come back to the scratch pad and talk about various things that I forgot to talk about as we develop an X and A. Anyway, if statements are simple. If you remember, so I can say int I get 0, while I less than 5. Console, oopsie, let's back up here, well, whatever. Console.writeLine, I, and then to increment I can say I plus plus. I step through this, hit F11, pop pop, I is 0, 0 is less than 5. So we enter into the while loop and we go round and round, and we keep doing that, or the term again is iterating until the loop completes and goes to the end. Well, an if statement is like a while statement, except it only executes once. So I can say if I less than 5, writeLine I plus plus. So stepping into it, essentially we say, hey, if I is less than 5, I is 0, yes, so we come in here, execute the block, increment I, but then at that point, execution's complete. So basically an if is a one-time thing. This example is pretty contrived because it's built more for a loop to have I run from 0 to 5. A better case would be, let's see, bool hungry gets, oh true, because it seems like we're always hungry. So if, or no, let's do a better one. Let's do double or float, either one of those. I think I showed them both. Double GPA gets 3.8. Okay, so we can say if GPA is equal, or if it's greater than 3.0, then console writeLine, you are a good student. Or student, how about that? Good student. Okay, oh, float. Yeah, let me do double. Just, oopsie. Not really doing very good on this one. I'm going to put double right here. So, you are a good student. So, coming down here, I'm going to execute F11. F11 GPA is 3.8. GPA, if GPA is greater than 3.0, then I guess we'll assume that 3.0 students are good students. So, you can print out to the you are a good student. Coming back here, shift F5 to terminate execution, or I could have just stepped out of it. Let's say that the GPA is less than 3, so let's say you're 2.8. F11 into here. If GPA is greater than 3.0, well, it turns out that the GPA is not greater than 3.0, so it doesn't even execute this. And I think this is the first time I might have shown you. If you have, generally you can put curlies in here, curly braces. But if it's a one-liner like this, then they're not necessary. C#, and as well as other languages, will assume that the first line under the statement, for example, this one says if, so it assumes that this is the block and the only part of the block. So if I wanted two statements in here, for example, you are a good student, now go tell your mom. Well, even though I indented this, the C# only sees this line immediately following as part of the if. So if I F11 through this, if GPA is greater than 3.0, which it's not, now go tell your mom. So all we have for output there is now go tell your mom. So if you talk, this turns into a religious holy war. Some people feel like even if you have one-liner, you need to have a curly braces in there to denote the block. In fact, I think it's more common to see this than without it. I leave it out personally. My side of the holy war is if you can't figure out your own language and some simplicities around it, then why are you using it anyway? And why do I need to add 2 extra lines of curlies here just for one line of code? To me, that seems like a waste of screen space, but that's just up to me. Or up to you. It's up to you. Now, if you notice also these console writelines, they say system.console.writeLine. That's because I forgot to put the using system up here, which I haven't really explained either. But essentially when I say using system, it says, let me use the stuff that's in this system cloud that you're totally unaware of. Don't worry about that. We'll get to it later. For now, I can just, since I said using system, I can take these systems off. not a big stress. If also comes with an else. So for example, if you notice when I executed this code, well, let me get rid of the else first. Let me get rid of it. F11. So here we say double GPA is 2.8. If GPA is greater than 3.0, then we don't say anything. We just say, well, now go tell your mom, which is kind of pointless. Maybe if 3.0 is a good student versus maybe an average student, we could say console write line, you are an average student, I suppose. So now the else. So these two blocks here are what we call mutually exclusive. Either the top one will execute or the bottom will execute. Both of them will never execute. It's one or the other. Mutually exclusive. Kind of like some of the clubs you go around to here. Anyway, F11 again, step through. Double GPA is greater than, gets 2.8. So is 2.8 greater than 3.0? No. So the else says you're an average student. And then, of course, we get down to now go tell your mom. So looking at the output, you're an average student. Now go tell your mom. No big deal. So that's if statements in general. You can chain these. For example, maybe the GPA, somebody's playing a little bit too much pool during class, so the GPA is really low. So we can say else if GPA. Let's change this around a little bit because I want to show GPA within a range. So if 2.0 is less than GPA, and that's how we say and, double ampersands, and GPA is less than or equal to 3.0, then let's say you're an average student at that point. Else, we'll come down here and say console write line, please get some individual help. So again, let's step through this. F11, double GPA is 0.8. Is 0.8 greater than 3.0? No, so we jump down to this next check, else if GPA is greater than 2.0 or and less than or equal to 3.0. Notice I kind of wrote this as a range, so you can see that GPA falls between 2.0 and GPA it basically falls between 2.0 and 3.0. Well, unfortunately 0.8 doesn't fall in there, so I hit F11 and we say, hey, go get some individual help and go tell your mom. So that's roughly the output. Just to make this interesting, let's set this at the 2.8 again. F11. So 2.8 is not greater than 3.0, so we skip that one, but 2.8 is greater than 2.0 and less than or equal to 3.0. So this is the one we choose. You're an average student. Notice it skips over the else though. So essentially now we have with this if, else if, and we can else if all day long. We have 3 blocks of code that are mutually exclusive. One of them will execute, but then after it finds the first one that executes, then the rest don't execute in this structure. Anyway, so that's roughly the gist of if, else, if. There's more to it, but that's the core.